if your ancestors left you instructions to attend something that would shatter your sanity.
Not a suggestion, not an invitation. A command that echoes through your bloodline, compelling you to participate in something you can't understand and shouldn't witness. This is the psychology of inherited trauma, of obligatory compliance, of traditions that trap your mind before you even realize you're caught. It was the Yuletide that men call Christmas, though they know in their hearts it is older than Bethlehem and Babylon, older than Memphis and mankind. He's compelled by a family tradition. His ancestors commanded their descendants to return every century to keep festival, to ensure the memory of primal secrets might not be forgotten. He doesn't know what he's walking into, only that he must go. As he approaches Kingsport, he notices something wrong. The town is too silent, too still. There are lights in windows, but no people in streets, no footprints in the snow, just emptiness. When he reaches his family's ancestral home, the 7th house on Green Lane, he knocks. But here's where the wrongness intensifies. The door opens, but he heard no footsteps. An old man greets him, but the man is mute, communicating only through a wax tablet and stylus. And as he looks closer at this old man's face, he realizes something deeply disturbing. It's too smooth, too still. The eyes never move. The skin looks like wax. It's not a face at all. It's a mask. He is experiencing what they call obligatory compliance, the compulsion to follow through with inherited expectations, even when every instinct screams danger. This isn't rational decision-making. It's something deeper. Our limbic system is hardwired to honor ancestral patterns. For most of human history, following the traditions of your elders meant survival. But this evolutionary mechanism can be weaponized. What if your ancestors weren't protecting you? What if they were ensuring you'd walk willingly into something that would destroy you? He knows something is wrong, but he stays because his fathers commanded it. This is the horror of inherited obligation. Inside the house, the wrongness deepens. He is led into a room with massive, exposed rafters, sparse 17th century furniture, and despite it being winter, no fire in the fireplace. An old woman sits spinning at a wheel, her back turned, wearing a deep poke bonnet. She doesn't acknowledge him, just spins and spins and spins. The old man gestures to a pile of books for the narrator to read while waiting. And here's where he notices the Necronomicon. He finds himself reading a chapter about things that shouldn't exist, about knowledge that breaks minds. But he keeps glancing at that old man's face, that mask. And the more he looks, the more terrified he becomes. Because it's not just that it's a mask, it's that the mask is pretending to be human and doing it almost perfectly.
He suspects there are figures sitting on the settle facing the curtained windows. He hears a window close, though no one moved. He hears sounds that aren't from the spinning wheel.
At 11 o'clock, the old man and woman don heavy hooded cloaks. The old man takes the Necronomicon. They gesture for him to follow them outside, into the night, into whatever awaits. Humans have incredibly sophisticated facial recognition systems. We can detect micro-expressions, tiny muscular movements that last fractions of a second. We read emotions, intentions, humanity itself in faces. But when we encounter something that looks like a face but doesn't move correctly, our brain registers it as a threat. This is the uncanny valley, that feeling of revulsion when something is almost human, but not quite. He sees a face that should have micro-movements, pupils adjusting to light, subtle muscle contractions, the tiny signs of life. But there's nothing, just stillness. And our brain knows something is catastrophically wrong. Not just, this person is weird, but this thing is pretending to be human, and I'm in danger. That's why masks are so effective. They represent the death of identity, the theft of humanity, the thing wearing a person's face while being fundamentally other. I saw that all the travelers were converging as they flowed near a sort of focus of crazy alleys at the top of a high hill in the center of the town, where perched a great white church.
They all climb toward the white church at the summit. He follows, jostled by elbows and chests. He never sees a face, never hears a word.
And then he notices something that makes his blood freeze. The snow near the church door shows no footprints, not from the hundreds who entered, not even his own, as if nothing human walked there at all. Inside the church, the throng doesn't stop. They stream toward a trap door before the pulpit, descending into the vaults below. He follows, down worn stone steps, into suffocating darkness. They descend a narrow spiral staircase, down and down and down. The walls change from carved blocks to solid rock. The descent seems endless. Side passages appear, burrows leading into unknown blackness. They multiply, become countless, like impious catacombs of nameless menace. He realizes they've descended beneath the mountain, beneath Kingsport itself. The town above is ancient, but below, something far older waits. Every human culture has myths of descending into underworlds. Orpheus descending for Eurydice, Dante's circles of hell, Persephone's abduction into Hades. Descent represents moving away from consciousness, from civilization, from the self. It's the opposite of enlightenment. It's the journey into buried things, repressed things, things that should stay dead. He is descending voluntarily. He could stop at any moment, turn back, refuse. But he doesn't, because his ancestors commanded this, because obligation is more powerful than self-preservation. This is the horror of complicity. He's not being dragged into hell. He's walking there himself. At the bottom, he sees something that defies comprehension. A vast underground shore, lit by a column of sick greenish flame. The hooded figures form a semicircle around the flame. They perform the ritual, the Yule rite, older than humanity itself, the rite of fire and rebirth. But this isn't human celebration. This is something else. The flame casts no warmth, only the clamminess of death and corruption. The celebrants throw handfuls of viscous vegetation into the water. Something in the darkness plays a flute, something the narrator can't fully see. And then the old man who brought him, the one with the wax mask, makes a signal. The flute player changes its tune, and the horror begins. Out of the darkness come things. They were not altogether crows, nor moles, nor buzzards, nor ants, nor vampire bats, nor decomposed human beings, but something I cannot and must not recall. The hooded figures mount these creatures and ride them into the darkness, into pits and galleries of panic. He refuses, and then the old man reveals the final horror. He pulls back his hood to show family resemblance. He produces a seal ring and watch, both bearing the family arms. But the hymn knows that watch was buried with his great-great-great-great-grandfather in 1698. Then the mask falls away, and beneath it is something that drives the hymn to fling himself into that putrid underground river to escape. This is identity horror at its purest. The revelation that the familiar, your own ancestor, your own bloodline, is fundamentally alien. He came to honor his ancestors, but his ancestors aren't human anymore. Maybe they never were. Maybe family is just a word for something wearing human shape to perpetuate itself through generations. If your bloodline is inhuman, what does that make you? Are you walking toward the same transformation? Is the obligation hereditary or biological? He wakes in Kingsport Hospital. They tell him he fell from cliffs at Orange Point. They show him prints in the snow as proof. But everything is wrong. The hospital stands near the old churchyard, exactly where the white church was. The town is modern, with trolleys and motors. Only 1 in 5 buildings is ancient. They send him to Arkham, to St. Mary's Hospital. They say he has a psychosis.
So he reads the Necronomicon again and finds the passage he saw that night, the passage that explains everything. Cursed the ground where dead thoughts live new and oddly bodied, and evil the mind that is held by no head. For it is of old rumor that the soul of the devil-bought hastes not from his charnel clay, but fats and instructs the very worm that gnaws, till out of corruption horrid life springs, and the dull scavengers of earth wax crafty to vex it, and swell monstrous to plague it. The dead don't stay dead, not when they have descendants to summon, not when tradition ensures each generation walks willingly into the darkness below. The festival isn't about honoring ancestors. It's about feeding them.